So political polling, is that a thing? Do you believe it? You don't believe it? Is there science behind it? Let's break it down. Political polling is both an art and a science. It involves collecting data from lots of different people and sample people to get an opinion for a larger population. And the idea is that political polling uses a sample size, and it aims to understand how people what they understand about candidates, what they understand about the political landscape and other political issues based on that sample size. So we take a smaller sample of people and then we ask them specific questions. Polls can influence campaigns, they can shape public perception, they can even impact voter turnout. Polling's come a long way in the last few years. It used to be in the early 19th and 20th centuries that there would be polls done that were straw polls. That would be an informal poll of people asking people, random people, what do you think about this candidate? Or what do you think about this? And the problem with that informal straw poll is that while it did present an opinion of people, it didn't have any scientific basis for actually presenting numbers that you could kind of rely on, or at least understand where those opinions were formed in from a bigger or a wider audience. So today, polling organizations use sophisticated mechanisms to try to get as accurate a reading of the political landscape as possible. They want to know from the people that they talk to, right? They try to get a random sampling of people in general and ask them questions that may not be pointed at one party or another. And so it has to be, there's a scientific way that these questions are formulated. They're avoid biases in these people. And that scientific method allows for a random sampling that has statistical viability. So that random sampling and that scientific sampling viability depends on the target size of the sample. Too small and you have too many chances for bias to creep in. Too large, and really it's a waste of time. There's too much. You can poll 10,000 people and get the same results as polling 1,100. So they don't poll. Most people think, why don't they poll more people? And the fact is, they don't poll more people because statistically, it's not going to make a lot of difference. If you have a truly random sampling of people in the United States, that poll should have some viability that actually we can understand. So we want to help to avoid a skew of the results by asking questions that are leading or trying to get people to say certain things based on those questions. So the representative sample of people needs to be representative of what the United States actually looks like. It needs to be representative of age and gender and race. It has to have a demographic makeup in the same way that the United States would have, or that any country would have. So polls come with a margin of error, and that margin of error indicates how many percentage points of difference that the poll could have based on that statistical size. So in any in any record of statistics, you're going to have a margin of error. And that margin of error can either be, minus, like if, let's say someone's polling at 50%, then the value of that margin of error, if the margin of error value is 3%, that means that the person could actually be polling at 47% in reality, or it could be polling at 53%. So this theoretical person, could be polling in either direction. So that's something that you need to understand with regard to how pollings occur, and that will give you some idea of what those pollings mean. Right? There's also confidence levels, and a confidence level tells you, okay, when we've done this poll and we understand what is being asked of people, what is being found out, the confidence level might be 95%, or it might be 98%, or it might be 90%. But it gives you an idea of how the pollster felt about the results given their understanding of the polling that was done. And, despite their scientific basis, polls aren't perfect. They can be affected by non-response bias, where certain groups are less likely to participate. They can be changed by the wording of the questions. They can be changed by people's reticence to admit that they maybe want to vote for one person versus another, but they don't want to be seen they don't want to publicly accept that that's what they want to do, right? So, and it can also depend on, random events might shift the polls in one way or another based on some intervening random event. You don't know. So a poll is very much a slice in time of the electorate that happens to be answering these questions. Just scientifically, though, from a statistical perspective, to understand how these statistics work and how the polling occurs and why statistically it means something is important, right? Because we have to take polls with a grain of salt, because obviously they don't always get it right. But it gives us a sense of how things are going. So if this video has helped you in any way to understand what polls actually do, what they're used for, and how we can interpret them, please give it a thumbs up, share it, like it, and we'll see you on the next video.